Hi, Tea Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we are checking out Mushi-Shi episode 26. And while I know that this isn't technically the end of this series, because there's like more episodes and like seasons and stuff, I'd have to go down the rabbit hole to figure out all that. It still feels like an end, like we're going to be ending something in this. I don't know how much of that, because it's a very like episodic show in general. How many other things we're gonna pull into this that we've set up with Ginko as a character, or like the world of Mushi and all of that. But interested to see where this episode goes. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, I'm not starting with the opener right away. Homestar you. Ghostly. Interesting. And sometimes they look back. A kid as well. Interesting that the like fog mist has like a purple hue to it. Yeah, I like the sound of footsteps in the grass makes me think something that is like ghostly, otherworldly, something that seems there but isn't. I don't understand people who read near water or like in baths or whatever. I'm dropping the book. I'm dropping whatever I'm reading. I love the non-committal like hum of like, yeah, okay, I'm coming. Oh, Mushi. Other people can't see it. I was gonna say it's quite pretty, but that means the mist, something otherworldly. Only some people can see it. Yeah, they don't hurt anyone. Don't be suspicious just because you don't understand. I don't like the suspicion. Yeah, they don't want anything. They don't do any harm. Just pass them through. Just because you don't understand them doesn't mean that they're bad. But they haven't. Good point. Yeah. I don't like where this is going though. I was thinking that like migratory birds, I'm like, it seems almost like they're on like a migration or like they're moving with the specific seasons, right? Because he was talking about how they're only there for like they come like May showers and then they disappear again. Are gonna make friends. Clever. No one can own a mountain. I love that held shot where he like comes back in a frame. Yeah, they just want something to eat. They're not overfishing. They're not taking what they need. It's not a fishing industry. They're just taking care of themselves. I do think it's interesting that he also thinks that like Teku is weird. I hope that we don't feel antagonistic to be like, how dare you be better at this than me? Like competitive. I hope we just become friends. Uh, yeah, you didn't see that? You were paying attention? They bought it though. That's not the same as like being the guardian. Maybe I'm just showing off what a tree hugger I am. That I'm like, you can't own a mountain. But I do think it's interesting to have this in a show like Mushi-Shi, right? Where it's like Mushi are natural parts of the world and you can't own them. I also think it's interesting to have him like barefoot. He's like more connected to the land than like wearing the slippers and like walking around, right? Being like, my family owns this land. We bought it. I don't know. You seem a little bit like this is you're trying to prove a point. Humor him. I'm assuming like a mushi or something. Ooh, now we're interested, huh? Now that there's like a mystery that you know the answers to. Interesting. Interesting too that they seem to like follow the mist, right? They're kind of like following that light path. You don't know that. Cute. I hope they become friends and they're just like, here's some of what my life is like, here's some of what your life is like. Oh, we're like trying to find information then? Bring stories. Ooh, we know a kid like that. So this is like back in time. I was thinking, I'm like, we don't actually have Ginko in this episode. Ah, the poor frog. Using the frog as bait? What's going on right now? Guardian? The symbolism, though, of like trapped and then trying to get free while we're talking about like, oh, my future is decided. I was gonna say, is this gonna be a character that we already know that's grown up? Like the doctor friend that Ginko had? I don't remember if we ever heard his first name. Information. Mmm. So that's why we follow the mists then. Yeah, it feels like a betrayal though. That you didn't say that's why you wanted to hear about it. I mean, if you're not gonna apologize, then don't be upset that he's still upset. I'm just saying. And if you didn't think it was a little bit shady, why didn't you mention it before? Right? You only keep secrets when you don't want. Either you're like, oh, I shouldn't share this piece of information. So you knew something. I wonder if Taku's like okay though, because he says that he can see things that is usually associated with like Mushi-Shi, right? Like and Mushi and everything. I don't know about that. That seems like a trap. Whoa. Is it a good day for the mountain then? Ooh, there he is. We found him, part of our information. He does attract Mushi. Yeah. Which y'all like information, but it's not exactly safe, right? Uh-oh. Oh, poor. He's so young though. It's a lot of responsibility. And along with the grief, right? Like the grieving's already gonna be difficult enough. And then you add on all these layers of like, yeah, but you need to also do all of these things. Interesting too to have this crossing point of like he usually doesn't come to the village, right? Nope. Great scene of him being in this like darkness. Like this hallway almost, right? Like it feels like this enclosed space. It's like the darkness is closing in around him. Uh-oh. Leaving early? Or running away? Seems like a rash decision. But someone needs to watch the mountain. And if something is like happening with the mountain, I feel like you definitely need to stay here and figure it out. Yeah, like the mist is not supposed to look pure white to you. I was gonna say, is this just because they're like someone needs to take Ginko? Technically, he wasn't kicked out of a village. Interesting too to be like the place where people who are kicked out of their village go, and even Ginko got kicked out of that because the light vein shifted, so the Mushi aren't there anymore. Whoa, that seems like somewhere maybe we don't want to be close to. Yeah. Protector of what now, right? Wow, you've just like stayed here because that's the mountain you're supposed to protect. I mean, go to where the light vein is. So that's what we're waiting for, the cue that they've returned. Is it Ginko? I was gonna say, it sounds like him. I mean, it's a big part of his life. Long time ago. Oh, and he remembered. I was gonna say, is that the doctor? Oh, it's returned? I like Mr. X Guardian. I was gonna say we've had like other Guardians in different parts of the story. I almost feel like I should let it play through because there's not gonna be a like preview of the next episode, right? There's an epilogue. All right, we're sticking it out. I don't know what the epilogue will entail, but I'm gonna watch it. I thought that was a really fun episode, though. Like, I think it's interesting to have the end of this season be an episode that doesn't focus on Ginko. Like, again, our main character not being the focal point, and yet it's still interwoven. I like that it's kind of a backstory for him, right? Because a lot of the backstory we had was before he became like Ginko, right? And then he was like, oh, I don't have any memory now. I've been like reborn. I have like a new life that I'm kind of starting, right? And I like getting a little bit of what happened afterwards, right? To be, again, traveling, this kind of lack of existing in one place, right? That Ginko's always had throughout his life. And meeting these people that are very aware of like Mushi, and they got kicked out of their villages because they could see Mushi, right? There's a lot of superstition around that. We've seen that throughout this entire season of people who are kind of outcast because they're different and they can see things, right? So I think it's interesting to be like, oh, this is where they end up, but also not Ginko, right? Like he's still too dangerous to be part of it. True. That's it? That's what we're ending on? Oh, I'm greedy. I want more. But yeah, so interesting to have an episode where like it's talking about how even Ginko is like an outsider, right? Like he's an outsider of outsiders. There's something about him that is inherently different. And we know that because of like the backstory of like how he became Ginko and everything like that. But I do think it's interesting that even with this group of traveling people who are not going to be staying in one place, right? His whole thing is, oh, if I stay in one place for too long, geographically speaking, Mushi are going to start to come and nest and they're going to multiply and everything. It's going to cause issues. But even with this group that are constantly traveling, even that is dangerous, right? Like he needs to be on his own and repel Mushi and just be going from place to place constantly, because if he is too attached to like certain things, Mushi start to gather there and it can be dangerous for the people around him. So I think that's an interesting bit of lore for him to be like, if he can't even have a group of people who understand Mushi to some extent, right? Like that have that knowledge, that are able to at least have some idea of what is going on with him. Even in that setting, he's still dangerous to the people around him just by like proximity, right? So I think that is all interesting leading into like more of the story going forward. But I think that this episode did do a good job of bringing a bunch of stuff together. Like I was saying, like we know about guardians, right? We know about people who can see stuff that other people can't. We're like, oh, that's Mushi. I know that right away because I watched the series. I like getting a little bit of a backstory of what happens to the people who are outcast by their villages and everything when they do show that they can see Mushi and like these things that aren't there. We've seen like lots of different iterations of that from people who are like seen as like other, and because of that, people don't want them around. They're like pushed to the outskirts of the village, or sometimes are like manipulated and used as some kind of like deity, almost like some kind of connection to a higher power and everything, right? There's so many different layers of like how people react to there being Mushi around and people who can see it. So I like getting a bit of a backstory that this is what happens to a lot of those peoples. They kind of band together and they end up traveling and following these light veins because they like understand some of what's going on and they learn about Mushi and they're more connected with the nature side of things. I really liked the back and forth at the beginning of someone who understood like nature and everything and like how like the mountain can decide things for itself, right? And then you have this, my family owns this land, we bought this land, like we're the owners, right? So that's like a very different perspective to like understanding like how nature works, and like me immediately being like, you can't own a mountain. What do you mean? So I think it's really interesting to have that like back and forth of seeing nature for what it is and like Mushi being part of that nature and how you can't really own them, control them, or transpose like morals onto them, and having that in contrast to someone who's, this is like simply like how the world works, right? And how Taku had to expand some of his knowledge and his understanding to get to a point where he could actually figure out what was going on and feel that like connection, right? Where he wants to like help heal the mountain and the people who like still live there, which I think is really interesting. So I think this is a great series. I love all the storytelling in it. I love so much of the music and the sound design and some beautiful artwork throughout it. And I think that there's just so many nuances and layers to the different episodes. I love that I'm always like thinking back on different topics of these episodes. They just stick with me. There's a part of my brain that's still just trying to pull apart different layers of it, which is always really fun. Hopefully I will get to some of the other episodes soon. No idea when. There's so many things that I have to want to check out and get caught up on, so we'll see when I come back to it. But I hope you enjoyed watching this series along with me. You can click this place to go into my previous reactions, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!